Can you guys confirm? Okay, let's start with the basics and also today's session is the RDS. Okay, so let's refresh some part. Last class we have done what is the difference between agile and waterfall and other different things. How the whole web application or a normal application to application works. Okay, so guys, you are able to hear me? Just confirm it. I'm going to start.
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So yeah. So you have two servers where EC2 servers here, which are in maybe, we'll first take the example, they are in the same location and one server isn't present here. So as per the traffic and as per the live users who are using it, and if they increase, that is the scenario. Here you have the DNS. What does the DNS do?
It routes the traffic, sir.
It routes the traffic. Then
From
you have
client.
EC2, which is in Mumbai, and you have PritiJewelers.com, which is the DNS routed from all the clients. So active users suddenly on one day from 50,000 it came to 1 lakh, and this EC2, whatever the code you have deployed after your deployments, after your development stage from the repository itself, okay, from the repository you have deployed it directly, and it is taking the request and the response, okay, through the load balancer. Now what happens is that suddenly the traffic increases, and then this crashes. What is the steps that you need to take? If your server crashes and you get a call from your client Preeti saying that okay, this my website is not available, e-commerce website where you can buy gold, silver, and platinum, and it's been nearly 2 hours, no one is looking at it, and you have a team who has to monitor, who has to get the things, but they have not put any alerts and any other system. They are getting a call directly from the client. It's been 2 hours. There is no transaction happening. Nobody. It's a 404 error. Okay, now, what will you do? What will be your steps and actions?
Check cloud logs, sir.
Yes, you will check the logs and you will get to know there was an exception. But still, the time is ticking. It's been nearly 2 hours. You got a call and you check the logs. You took 1 hour to check the logs. You didn't keep anything monitoring or any other thing. You check the logs and it stated that there were many requests that are happening, and there were many exceptions that it couldn't. So you figured it out that due to the capacity of the EC2, you had to keep it as a large T1 large, but you kept it T2 medium or smaller one. Okay. So what will be your actions again? You know what happened because of many active users at one time at 9 a.m. It crashed, and it is now 12 p.m. Yep, Preeti. So I think we have less participants, so more number of answers won't be getting. Uh, yeah, once you are rejoining after power fluctuations, please answer it. So here, what happens is that EC2, this is the passive way where you are acting when you get a call or get an communication from the client saying that okay, something has happened and this is destroyed, but you should have made it scalable. This is the place where now if you are not on cloud, if you are on on-prem, you would have to again maintain a server with all the same operating systems, same all the different parameters that are same and equal. Then you should have you had a load balancer. This
Load balancer.
load balancer has a server and an application here which has its own operating system. This had to be configured here, configured saying that if the traffic is moving from 50,000 to the next 50,000, 60,000, 80,000, it has to be, this has to be connected, and then the database for this one has to be, you can keep it separate, or you can keep the same database, and this can be made it in sync. So there are in number of tricks, but scalability is one of the main factors which you need to understand that okay, if you are on on-prem, you would have to maintain this server with same operating system parameters and a load balancer. and having configuration that okay, this is the EC2 server one.
Sir, Raghu,
Yeah, I
give
got.
permission to Raghu.
Yep, yep, I gave it. So you have this EC2 server one. EC2 server one. You need to configure the load balancer on the on-prem system. Configure that okay after if the active users are more than 50,000, then it has a new one has to be configured. Connection has to be made, and then it, a new connection. So we'll be working on EC2 and the connection between both of them for today. I started the topic how you can actually be active and design your architectural system architect in such a way that it is scalable. And I compared that if you have on-prem server, you would have to maintain many of the server with the same operating system. But on the cloud, in the AWS, you have the load balancer. Let me know the name of the load balancer, name of the service in AWS as an assignment. Okay, name of the load balancer and how you can configure it as an assignment question. And you know how to configure AC tools, right? We will be configuring the Route 53 and then uh,
Okay.
we'll be also configuring how you can actually get the RDS, which is a database of MySQL, and connect it with EC2. Okay, so we'll be doing practicals of this one, and we'll be doing the practicals of the load balancer also. So here the scalability in AWS is that you'll be creating the load balancer and then you'll be assigning that in the Route 53 here you'll be assigning that whenever once you will have a checkbox which will check and if you make it scalable, it will provision 2 or 3 servers, and depending upon the different criteria like weightage or number of request response, it will be redirect to the server 1 or the server 2. We'll be doing hands-on with that. First we'll be doing the hands-on for the RDS, connecting the database to the EC2 server so that your Java application can directly connect and read the tables inside it. Okay, so I hope you have a little bit hands-on with from the last 3 classes. Last third class, I asked you to do a little bit of SQL and what is table, understand what is RDBMS. But still, I'll be teaching you what is the concept of the database, and then we'll log in into the AWS console, provision MySQL, and also provision EC2, run some scripts so that directly it will be getting connected. Okay, and yeah, so we'll do hands-on for that. Little bit basics on the database is that you have seen the database since the starting 1986. You have file architecture, file hierarchy system in the Windows. You can see that you have a folder inside a folder. So it's like this and this. There's a folder inside a folder, or you can have different extensions of the file. Now you have other concept where you have tables. A table is like a combination of rows, columns, which have one cell. So for example, you have must have worked on the Excel sheet, right? You have serial number, okay, the name, address, and the salary of an employee. So you have your Preeti is the first employee, serial number 1. Her name is Preeti, and her address, home address, and what is the salary that is. Now, if you this is just a database which is storing the things. You have another table, so which is having a association between them. Association in the sense the ID of this one is associated with ID of that, and one table uh, shall have one column which is having unique, and you can keep it as primary key. Okay, so these are little bit basics that we have gone through and little bit refreshing, and each and every table are somewhat associated with each other. They can be individuals. So this table is like one to many. One table is connected to many, and this table is one to one with table number A, B, C. Do some hands-on with this. This is the concept of RDBMS, relational um database management system. Okay. Another concept you have is the NoSQL one.
No.
Okay. So go through some of the YouTube videos, but do a lot of hands-on with RDBMS, and Then you have the concept of SQL, which is a query language. This is little bit different from your Java language, where you use it is nearly 80% same, where you can write down some queries, stored procedures of using if and while logic. But query language, which is SQL, which sits on top of the database, and this helps you to write some code and get the data from the tables which are in association with one another. Structured query language. Okay, so this is present inside the database, and you have a structured query language, and the Java is actually connecting. Now there is a catch here. Java is an other language, an object oriented language, but it is connecting to a database, and with the help of an SQL, it is getting the data, fetching the data, and sending it to the front end. Okay, on the front end, it is getting displayed. The Facebook works in this way. All the web application works that you have a business logic layer here, which is connecting to the database, which is of different technology. Database, the server is operating system. You can keep it as Red Hat or MySQL or Windows server also. On that, you have the database as an application, and this database could be MySQL Server or Microsoft SQL. Will be selecting everything is present in AWS. Now, this business logic layer is connecting to the database, which is a different technology with, and the query language is also different than the object oriented. So how is it getting connected and how it is fetching the data is your assignment question to explain me in a PPT. Yeah, Raghu. Make a PPT and some code about how Java is able to connect to the database and how it is getting the data and showing the data on the screen. You can show the data on the screen. So it is little bit heavy task, but you can take 2 or 3 days to make the PPT and get it up. Okay. So as a hint, you can take it as it uses drivers. Okay. So you can write a Java code to actually use a driver and connect it. That is little bit advanced Java. It comes under core Java only, but it is the connectivity with the database here. Okay. Now I'll take 10 seconds break. If there is any doubts, let me know. Yeah, guys. So I take it as no doubts. So let's go to console and get a database. Okay. So the database here, what will be the service name as? RDS,
RDS.
which is RDBMS. Service name is RDS. You can see I might have some databases. Okay. Currently, I do not have any database, any cluster, any reserved instances. On the left hand side, you can see that you have databases, query editors, snapshot. What is the meaning of a snapshot? Snapshot is like you have your backend and then you have your database. So the data, you have two different kind of things that is called as a DDL and DML. Any idea what is the difference?
No, sir.
DDL is data definition language. Okay, data definition language. When you provision new data, maybe on a on-prem or on the cloud, you will have to create a table, right? You will first create the data. You will have to create the table, and you will name it as the first column as serial number, second column as name. So you will write down a script, SQL script, to create the table and fill up the data in the table. Okay, so in that, these scripts which are actually getting ready your tables and fetching, filling some normal data in it is called as a DDL. That is create, alter, okay, and drop. Okay, you will create a table. You will alter the table if you want to change the second name from name to full name. Okay, you will alter the table. Then you can drop the table, delete the table. So these are called as the data definition language here. Now you have data manipulation where you have the serial number as some file, and it is Raghu and his address. You want to change the address. So you write down a script. You write down the script saying that alter table and change the address of this one. You can do little bit hands-on from W3 schools about this DDL and DML and SQL, which is a good skill to have as a full stack, as a Java developer. But as a full stack developer, it is a mandatory skill. Okay, so you are using DDL and DML. Now, in a normal web application or any application, think it as Facebook. Facebook will have its own tables and everything set up. And when the first client logged in, he might have created his username and the password, right? And then the username is stored in the table and the password is also stored in another column, same row, sorry. So it is like serial number, username, and password. Then you should have a table also, right, to maintain that. And that data today, it is in billions. There are billions of users who are using. So you want the data, only the data of the users. So I'll call it as data to be backed up. Okay, the whole data to be backed up. Now what happens is that preetijewellers.com, right? She has only one database in Mumbai, and due to some reason this has crashed, or due to some reason you can take it back. Due to some reason the whole data center is off. It's not reachable at AWS. Doesn't happen mostly. It will be redirected to other data center. You wouldn't know, there would be no latency, no disruption. Okay, so at your side, what you can do, AWS takes a backup of your code also, backup of your database, and it maintains for some days. Okay, but you can manually do it. If you are doing it manually, if you're doing it manually, taking up the backup of all the data, then think that you're taking manual backup of between a 3 days, from day 1 to day 3. But suddenly after 2 days and 75% of the time, and you're going supposed to be taking data backup, something crash happened. So you will lose this data. Okay, so you need to make sure that the AWS takes care, and AWS takes care of the backup. And if you are doing it manually, you make the intervals should be very short, and you can take an EBS volume, another SATA, or other EBS, other small kind of hardwares, other technology hardwares, where you can take the backup. Why do you take a backup of this data?
Backup is required, sir. What if PCs, if the database crashes, we
Crash.
lose every
Yes.
data.
If it is crash, what will happen? Then you can form a new database and then use the data, set the data, and your app is ready. Okay. Now another topic is that, another question is that you have one database, and due to a large request, this data, your business logic layer EC2 server is going good, but your database is of small configuration, and from 50,000 active users, it came to 1 lakh active users. Okay, what you can do is that if those users are only reading the data from your database, only reading the data from your database, you can have another database with the data which is read only. Okay, some services you can redirect it, which is read only. Just like some people will log into AWS, Amazon, they will see all the what is called catalogs, and uh, they will keep it in the cart. But so all those services can be redirected to read all the catalogs here. Now, once they are going into the payment services and any changes, then it can be redirected to the main database. In this way, some out of 50,000 customers, if 20,000 are only visiting the website and other things, so you can divide your database in such a way that this is read only and it can be redirected to here. Once they select any services, that service level you can redirect here, which will make changes to the database. Make changes means they are paying, and their cart is actually, their order systems are filled, their delivery count is increased, and those other things are actually recorded, so that when you click a button and you get to know that where is your order, is it shipped or not, all those data have to be captured, so you can use this database. But if they are only searching something, until that, these services can be redirected to this database. Okay, so in this way also you can handle the load balancer at the load balancer side, at the DB level you can do it. These are some of the tricks. Now one more thing, if suddenly in the Europe there is a database crash, okay, there is a database crash, and let's take another example. In Singapore, there is a database crash. People here are using, so here you can redirect to a Mumbai server also for until this database is online. You can redirect it here only, and you can have the settings in such a way that if this is crashed, it will detect, and you can provision a new server in Mumbai. Okay, so these are the things. Let's go to the hands-on and create a database, which is create a database. Now, as an AWS, there are many databases in the market, right? MySQL from the Microsoft, from Oracle. Oracle itself is a core database company. Their original products are database only. They are into cloud also, just like AWS has its own cloud and the naming convention. What is the database? RDS is the name. Oracle has its own services, the naming service. So let's see what is the difference between the standard and the easy create is that we can see all set of the configuration option, including one availability, security, backup, and maintenance. Everything is there. Use recommended as best practices. Some configuration option can be changed after database. So in this standard create, you cannot change anything, and you will have the maintenance security backups also. In this easy create, you can change some of the parameters even after creating the database. Think that you are not using AWS, you bought a server, you bought the operating system, and then a database as an application, some CD, and your now you want your database, thinking that you bought a wrong database, and then can you revert it, give it back to the company? It depends upon the rules and other buying options. Here, you can go into the standard and create. Let's go to easy create, and then in the market you have Amazon. From the Amazon itself, you are having a database, which is called as Amazon Aurora, MySQL, MariaDB, Postgres. As an assignment question, get to know some level one difference between these databases. Okay, so you should be
Already given, sir. Assignment question.
okay. I have given. Okay, I think I'm not repeating. This is the practical one. Okay, so anytime you do anything as a not only as a software engineer in the software, but anything here, when you get a list, why is this six? Which is the better one for your requirement? Today you're working on an e-commerce web application, in MySQL would be better. Tomorrow you're working on some other business application. At that time, Microsoft SQL Server would be better, but you're still using MySQL or you're still using Oracle. So you should have that knowledge, which is better, what are its features and other things, right? Now, you have production, dev test, free time. If you're testing your code in the development, you'll have that particular database connected to that EC2 server of development, and then when you are testing your code in your regression, you will have that particular database of that regulation. So you can use dev and test, but actual production, which will have different parameters, that is large with 4 CPU. Here in dev and test you have 2 CPU. In free tier you will have 1 CPU only, because we are not testing much of the data, which is only hands-on, and we are testing the application. So we'll go to the free tier. We'll name it as database identifier. Here we'll keep it as 10 p.m. batch. Okay, it's not a number. 10 p.m. BATCH. Oh, we have something. 10 p.m. batch. Let me. This is the database name. Let me post it in the chat. Okay, and I'm keeping a password which is very simple. Okay, password. I'm not auto generating it so that I receive it in email or something. Now view default settings of the easy create. So these are the default setting. It will be under the VPC, virtual private one. So these are automatically selected in the easy create. So you create a database. Okay, now this database is created. Let's create one EC2. Okay, in this database you have created a database. Okay, hold on. Okay, so we have now let's create a EC2. How do you create an EC2? We go to EC2. There are no running instances. You can find a launch instance. We'll take a simple free tire. Okay, select T2 micro, next configuration, instance only one, and hold on.
Availability zones.
No. Network subnet. Okay, network. Yeah. Storage. I'm adding find tags. Configuration. We'll add HTTP. I'm checking for something big. Okay. Launch. We'll take a new existing. We'll take it as new to create a new pair, which is Saturday 10 p.m. Okay. Saturday 10 p.m. Download the key in the AWS folder. This AWS folder. Desktop, AWS keys. Let's keep it here. .ppm save. Okay, it is saved. Let's launch the instance, and until that, let's go to where we have stored it. Where is this AWS DevOps keys? And here we have it, right? So until that, let's generate the keys, load it, check it as all files, and here Saturday PEM file, open it. Yeah, okay, successfully imported. Save the private. Yes, I don't want a fast phase. And then where is it? Saturday ppm ppk. Anything else we need to do? Save it. We have 10 minutes. We'll give you a new. Now go to putty. Go to the instance where it is launched. Let's see if it is launched. Guys, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Go to the
We can
public
see you.
IP. Go to the public IP here and open the putty. In the putty EC2 user, yes, we have not changed the username. Then go to the SSH or upload the file. Saturday 10 p.m. ppk. Open. Anything wrong we have done?
No, sir.
Contedly. So yes, this is the thing. I'll save it as Saturday EC2 RDS. Okay, save it. Saturday EC2 RDS loaded. Open it and server host. Yeah, fine. So we have our server ready. Let's give super privilege to it. Sudo su. Now you have your server ready and you have your RDS database ready. You have your server EC2 ready. Okay, and you have your database ready. Now you have two concepts. One is called as the security group and VPC, virtual private. Okay. Now think that if you have only one server, if you have only one server, which is in open, it is inside the AWS data center. If you want another server, another database, another server, if you want to keep it logically these three in one section, another section, and any user who wants to connect to this doesn't have to connect to another one. If you keep this server in the same, that is S1 and S2, he will be able to connect if he has the credentials. Of course, at the role side, you can change it. Okay. So you want to keep this server, which is having important data, away, not in this section. That is called as a security group. And whoever user you are creating, giving, sharing the keys and other things will be created for this security group 1, and this is security group 2. Okay. Inside this security group also you can have a logical section, and you can keep everything under one VPC virtual private. This is the private to you only, where you have a server, another server. This is in security group 1, this is security group 2, this is security group 3 inside it. That you got the practical understanding why do we have security groups and why do we have
Yes, sir.
virtual private connect, virtual private here.
PVC cloud.
Got it? Yeah.
So why security group 3, sir?
Security group is,
You said like third security group, right? Why security group 3?
it is just inside this one more box where you have server, another servers. If your architectural diagram is in that way, you can create more
Okay, okay.
resources, servers, load balancer for these two. Another load balancer you can keep it for security group 1, which will be redirected to this server. Another load balancer which will be here. So depending upon your architectural diagram and how your data is flowing, you can have logically divide between the security groups, and that can have in a VPC. Here this is security group having only one VPC, okay, virtual private,
Okay, sir. Okay.
so that and the public access is in there. Okay, we have 6 minutes. Let's I'll be giving a new link also. So
Okay.
here we have done, and we have even connected to the EC2. There are some things, once you get an EC2, right, you have got a server which is on your name and it is running. Now you need some things to upgrade in it, okay, by default. Okay, upgrade in the sense yum. Now tell me what is yum update hyphen y. So this is
System updates, sir.
this is this is a system update. Yum means this is a repository. In the on the internet there is some files, repository files, artifacts kept, so that whenever a server you hit yum, okay, go to the yum repository and update the things, whichever the things is not updated in this server. There is an open in the open internet, it goes and then fetches most of the things which are not updated. So extra suggestions weren't there, lang packs weren't there, priorities are updated and other things. I think no pack. We have got an updated server itself. Now, if you want to install EC2, if you want to install MySQL in EC2, there will be a command. Unix and Linux, everything works with command only, and there should be somewhere in the on the server. See, you have an EC2 server, right? You have a server, and on the internet, if you want files to be downloaded in your laptop, you actually go to the internet and download in the C drive or D drive, right? In the same way, this is the server, and most of the packages for the server will be maintained on another server of Unix or Linux, maintained by the creators and the companies of the Unix, which is free, of course. That's the reason today it is called open source, where you are just hitting the command, getting all the packages free, of course, right? So next is the yum. You are installing MySQL in it. Okay, yum install is the command MySQL hyphen y means yes. So it started installing with only just a command. How can you check if it is installed or not? Is a hyphen hyphen version, MySQL hyphen hyphen version, and it gives that yes, MySQL version 15.1 distribution MariaDB is installed on the Linux of 64 bit. Got it? So this is the way you can install here. Here does it work? Yeah. You can check the installation of any by using this command of version. MySQL. MySQL is installed on the server. Now let's go to the RDS on the AWS, and there is a concept where you have your server which is in another SG, which is in this one is in another SG, your RDS. Okay, from this database RDS, you have some concept called as please allow something to connect and please allow something to go out. This is called as inbound and outbound. Okay, some one of the SG security group to allowed to be connected here. If this security group is not whitelisted, not allowed, then whatever command you run using the name of this RDS will be stopped here. That's the reason you have security group which will stop any other server if they run the command using the name of this RDS, and the inbound section you have not whitelisted saying that the SG4 you have not whitelisted in the inbound. You are not giving the permission, just like you have your company where you enter and the physical security will ask you your ID card, right? That is the security group. Now, in the same way, here in the inbound, now the security, the company has your data that you are recruited, you are a software developer, you got an ID card. That ID card is just not a physical ID card. That data is also present in their server at the security gate. They have that all data. So whenever you show the ID card, yes, it is genuine. If you do not have the ID card, the very first day they will see your data, and that data has to be updated. If the HR didn't have update the data with that security group, what will happen?
Sir, can you repeat the question once
You're
again?
entering into
Is
a
there?
company. If you got recruited and HR didn't update the security database, if you entered the first day and you do not have an ID card for that company, you only have your Aadhaar card. So security, what does he say?
You're not allowed.
Will not allow, sir.
Yes. Then you will call the HR. The HR will update in their database. This guy will again fetch the database from the UI and see that okay, Raghu, Preeti, and Amisha are the persons who are whitelist, who are they have their employee ID. He checks only for the employee ID and then gives a temporary card and you're entered. In the same way, this RDS has to whitelist, has to do something in their inbound for the security group. Then only any server will be able to enter. Okay, you have 1 minute. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll create a new link once this is cancelled.
So, no questions from my
Okay,
side.
no.
No questions.
No,
So
sir.
I'm stopping this, creating a new link and sending you on the WhatsApp.
Okay, sir.